Welcome to Show and Tell. In this series, I review brand new games quickly and with as much detail as possible. Ready? Go. This is sad. This is really sad for me. Euclidean, put forward by the developers as a geometric horror. This is a game about falling and avoiding. That's all there really is to it in terms of gameplay, though there is a phase mechanic that can save you in a pinch, allowing you to pass through things for a few seconds. It's not out yet. I received a review copy for the game. It's set to release on the 25th of September 2015. Now, why is this sad? Well, a couple of reasons. I'm just going to be transparent with you. I really didn't like this game. I actually didn't finish it. It sounds worse than it is if I say I played the game for only 40 minutes or so, because I actually made it through half of the levels in 40 minutes. That leads me to believe that the full runtime is actually only about 1.5 hours. It really depends on how good you are at the game, because you could probably finish it in 10 to 15 minutes if you never die. Though I do want to stress that I am assuming that the levels presented to me here in the level selector are all there is. For all I know, there is stuff that unlocks after beating these levels. And it's for that reason that I wasn't even sure I wanted to make this review. I don't take any pleasure in this. This is a tiny team of 5, or at least there were only 5 people listed on their website, and I can only imagine how much work and love they put into this game. I wondered what purpose my review would really serve here, but as you can see, it's been made, and I want to focus on being constructive. I'm not here to shit all over this game. We'll start with the stuff that made this a particularly unfun experience, and hopefully we can end on a positive note. So, all of the gameplay is falling and avoiding objects until you reach the end, a simple concept that could easily be a lot of fun. The fundamental thing that I think went wrong here was that they basically took the Minecraft dropper maps and slowed them down. This genre can work, but as a slow, thoughtful experience, I'm not buying that that's possible. The way that this fall and avoid genre is going to be successful in any way is if it's quick, responsive, and when you die you instantly respawn. You should be spending as little time as possible waiting and constantly avoiding stuff and completing levels that seemed impossible at first. Take a look at the pace of something like Super Meat Boy, and that's what you're after for this type of game. Euclidean is not that. It could take several minutes to reach the end of a level, and in that time you've barely moved. The falling is slow, the movement is slow, and to add salt to the wound, the enemies are much faster than you are. The vision for this game is that you memorize enemy patterns and position yourself accordingly, with the almost entirely useless phase mechanic used as backup in case things go wrong. But there's so much on screen that it's difficult to keep track, and the enemies move so much faster than you do and sometimes just clip through walls that it's extremely difficult to avoid them. And all this would have been a pain, but it becomes a nightmare when you can't see shit. The screen is always dark save for flashes every now and then, and sometimes you can see a little more when you're phasing, but this combined with everything else makes each try feel like a dice roll. A really slow, takes 2 minutes to resolve, dice roll. The rule of thumb that I think works for most games is that heavily chance-based games should almost always be fast, like Super Meat Boy, because for most people, that game is kind of a throw yourself at it until it works simulator. But if you want a slow-paced game, everything needs to be precise, predictable, and most important of all, fair. The example I'm going to use for this one is Dark Souls. Most of the time, Dark Souls is very slow-paced, but people still love that game. What I did like about the game, it's clearly pushing boundaries. The team behind this are creative people, and there's no doubt about that. I also like the atmosphere. It seemed like they were going for a lonely, hopeless feel, and I definitely got that. I was, and still am, intrigued by the story. You're being contacted by an unknown voice telling you that you're not supposed to be here, and I was interested in finding out where here was, but it just wasn't enough, I guess, to overshadow the crippling gameplay. The team, who are called Alpha Wave Entertainment by the way, have made 2 other games as far as I know, and both of those, from what I've seen, look like they tried to push the medium in a similar way to this game, though I can't comment on their quality. And for that reason, I'm interested in what we see from Alpha Wave in the future. I encourage them to keep making games, and I hope that they are successful with their other games. But it's just the truth of the matter that I cannot recommend this game to anyone. Thanks for watching. See ya.